So, Tren de la Aragua, I'll never get that right. They have now hit Chicago. Okay. Seems like they're spreading out a little bit. Now, first they're in Aurora, Colorado. Now they're in Chicago. I'll be interested to find out if they're planning on taking over locations in any other cities. I've seen a few people post videos saying that they don't know these gang members don't know what they're messing with going into Chicago with all of the gang violence there. Maybe, maybe not. I have never been involved in gang violence, thank you, or thank goodness. But really, there's a video I want to share kind of in relation to this. I saw this and thought it'd be interesting to share on this topic.
Colorado be like, where are all the American patriots at with guns? We need help. We need somebody to do something. My short answer for you is no. Why? Because people like you that vote the way you do, you wished death on my family. Remember COVID? I do. Yeah. You sat back and you watched your state and federal government ruin people's lives. You watched people lose their jobs, lose their retirements, get kicked out of the military, fired cops, firefighters, hospital workers, my wife being one of them. Yeah. We're doing just fine now. Yeah. We had to move. We had to leave our family behind to do that. But we did it. And we're better off for it. Back on topic. So hypothetically speaking, let's just say me and my boys got our feathers all ruffled up. Okay? Let's just say we had enough. You know what? We're going to go up there and we're going to clean house proper. We're going to make the fucking grass grow up there. You know what would happen to us? Your state government, the media, and the feds would hang us high, put us in jail, and they'd plaster our faces all over the media, all over the country, all over the world, labeling us the bad guys. We're trying to help you. And if you think for a second that people like me are going to sacrifice everything for you, you are mistaken.
So the reason why I pulled that in is because it feels, in some ways, it feels like we're living in an anarcho-tyranny. During 2020, the Summer of Love riots, people that were upset about George Floyd got to do basically anything they wanted. And that included violating COVID orders. You were supposed to stay locked down in your house unless you were rioting. That doesn't sound about right. If there's a pandemic going on and it'll kill people if they go outside, I don't think the pandemic is going to avoid you if you're rioting. Sicknesses don't really work that way, which indicates to me that the powers that be didn't think that the pandemic was really that bad. Either that, or they just wanted anybody that would riot to die. I guess you could look at it either way. But the the insanity that ensued, people being choked out because they weren't wearing a mask, people at the beach that just wanted to go for a swim and there wasn't anyone around for hundreds of yards, got taken down and arrested. People were tased, all because they wanted a little bit of freedom. But on the opposite side, those that were rioting and looting and creating Chaz and Chop, the autonomous zones in different cities, they were fine. Completely okay to do a little bit of anarchy though there, but you cannot live a normal life. If you wanted to have your gym open to help keep people healthy, you're getting shut down. But if you're a Walmart, as long as you saran wrap some of your items, you're fine keeping that store open. It seemed like there was a little bit of two tiers of justice there. So and you could also look at how justice is delivered to people. That there was a gentleman on a subway, I think he was in New York. There was a guy being very violent on the subway. So this gentleman put him in a chokehold to try and hold him down until cops could take him away. The guy was preventing assault or possibly murder. I think it was people were in fear for their lives. But that guy, I think he got charged with murder for doing that. But the chokehold, the guy died in relation to it. I don't know if it was directly related to the chokehold or not. But because he was trying to help, he's been charged with either murder or manslaughter, charged with something. Because of situations like that, there have been times, I think on the New York subway, there was a woman raped on the subway in one of the cars, and everyone just stood there and watched because they didn't want to be charged themselves for a crime of helping that woman. When we're living in a society where you're being punished for trying to do what's right, less people will want to do what's right, which will mean more people will be able to do what's wrong without any punishment whatsoever. When seconds count, the police are minutes away. If we want to live in a society that is law-abiding, free, or at least mostly free from the difficulties of other third world countries, then really we should be a populace that will step in and help when there's something going on. And we shouldn't be afraid of the cops showing up and putting us in jail for helping do what's right. But in so many situations, that's what happens. Especially when the government becomes so over the top that they become a nanny state. If you don't get this permit to clean up this trash, you're going to get a fine for cleaning up this trash. You can't take care of that graffiti because you didn't get a permit to take care of that graffiti. It sounds ridiculous, but that's the world we seem to be living in certain places in the United States. In California, you can shoplift up to $950 and you won't be prosecuted. And that's why there's gangs of shoplifters going into stores and cleaning them out. And the stores are either closing or they're putting all of their stuff behind glass or something to try and prevent the shoplifters from actually being able to shoplift. And if a store owner tries to prevent, or not store owner, if someone that works at the store tries to prevent the shoplifting, they could be tried for assault possibly, or fired from the business because the business doesn't want to have to deal with the potential lawsuit or whatever might be coming after them for just preventing someone stealing from them. And really, in California, a lot of that goes back to Kamala Harris, because if you look at her record, she was keeping nonviolent offenders in jail past when they should have been released for free firefighters. She had a guy on death row that was innocent, and she was, until a court order forced her to release evidence, she was preventing evidence to be shown exonerating that guy. Anarcho-tyranny is not okay. And those performing anarcho-tyranny really should be held to account themselves. There should never be a two-tier form of justice. Either everybody should be held to a certain standard, or nobody should be held to that standard. Actually, that was one thing mentioned or talked about in a Meet the Candidate night here in Oneida County. There's a 1,000 person limit to gatherings, and you need to get a variance or a permit or something to go over that amount. If not, you're against the law. So the question given to one of the candidates was, the LDS Church holds a stake conference twice a year. How many times has the LDS Church asked for a permit for that, or a variance, or whatever it's called? And is that okay? Because Oneida County is predominantly LDS, nobody really thinks about that. So the one candidate that got that question, and this was in relation to the Renaissance Fair. It was not being allowed to happen because they didn't get the 1,000 person variance or permit. I think it was permitting something. They were having struggles because they didn't get that, but the LDS State Conference never had to worry about that. So the candidate, his response was, well, that's not right. So either the LDS Church needs to start getting that permit themselves, or no one should. And I think that answer is exactly right. And we're getting a little bit off topic here. Because of the anarcho-tyranny that's pervading or pervasive within this nation, people are not wanting to help in larger cities because they're afraid of the tyrannical government coming after them if they try to be a good Samaritan. Thankfully, in smaller towns, when you know the sheriff because he's your cousin or your neighbor or your best friend from high school or whatever, it's a lot easier to say, oh, hey, Bill, this guy was not acting properly, so I took care of it. And Bill said, thanks for helping me with my job. And that's the end of the conversation. But if you're a nameless, faceless person that the cop has never seen before, he'll say, well, you assaulted this person. And if you have a good defense, then your lawyer can defend you in court about that. Same exact thing happening, but because that person doesn't know you, they'll just go by what they think the law should be as a law enforcement officer. And if the district attorney is not willing to to look at the circumstances and just wants to get another notch on their belt, they'll just charge you, and they'll know or they will have a pretty good idea if you can afford a good attorney or not. And if you can't, sorry, you're just going to have to pay the fine or go to jail or whatever the crime might, or the charge might be. But it shouldn't be that way. So, yeah, hopefully Aurora, Colorado can get things figured out. Hopefully Chicago can get things figured out. Hopefully the illegal immigrant gangs that seem to be invading various cities within our country can be removed from our country, and we can return to a time of relative peace in our nation. Anyway, that's about all I've got on this one. If you like what I have to say, please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.